Today we've got my good friend, I still call him friend, I don't know what he calls me, but Simon Leung. We met when he was still working at Google.
That's right.
And he was one of the people that was really an integral part of monetizing and optimizing Google Ads. He was part of a very small team and kind of ran that whole thing at Google, so he knows a little bit about what he talks about from the Google standpoint. However, since then, and he and I had actually we were talking about it out there, Simon made his very first selling, how should I phrase this? The
Sales
platform,
presentation.
huh?
Sales presentation.
Yeah, the first sales presentation ever.
That's what it was, Ken.
It was at JV Alert here in San Diego, almost exactly 3 years ago. And in that 3 years worth of time, Simon has gone on to do amazing international things all over the world, spoken on stages forever. And the sole reason that he is able to do that is because on that night before his presentation, we stayed up until 6 o'clock in the morning coaching him on. It didn't really have anything to do with it whatsoever. But I really hope that you will glimpse a bit of this amazing mind and a fantastic person. So welcome, Simon.
Thank you very much, Ken, for that wonderful introduction. So this is actually very sentimental for me because, as Ken mentioned, almost 3 years ago, exactly to the day, it was October 2006, I made my first actual platform debut with an actual sales presentation. And it was because, really, I mean, Ken was joking that, it was because of this, because of that. Not just kidding. Actually, Ken actually played a really big part of that, not only on my stage performance, on everything that I'm doing all around the world now, but because he was a really major part of when I decided that I was even going to leave Google. I met Ken when I was still working at Google on a cruise where was it, from New York to Nova Scotia or something. So we have 3 to 5 days or something on the cruise just to get to learn about each other. And Ken actually graciously extended me an invitation to attend JV Alert Live in Philadelphia, which happened to be like the following week or something like that. And I mean, it all happened so quickly. I was still working at Google, and it was probably one of the things where I decided, okay, maybe I'll take seriously my job, or maybe I'll take seriously my business, whatever it was going to be. And it was from talking to Ken and him extending me the opportunity to attend the event and also to meet all the other individuals just like yourselves. Just like all the other speakers that you see on stage. I mean, these are the people who are not only inspirational to you, but they all have that leverage to help you succeed and to really grasp that brass ring, whatever it might be. And so I took that opportunity. I took it as really more of an inspiration from Ken. So I really owe a big part of where I am today to Ken. So let's all give Ken a big hand. 6 a.m., huh? That was pretty incredible. Yeah, so a little bit about myself, if that's okay. So that, I mean, how many of you is first-time comers to JV Alert Live? Wow, that's pretty good. Usually we usually see a lot more people coming back, but it looks like we're actually seeing some new individuals now, which is great because that's what we really want. The JV Alert Live brand and the whole, just the way that things work and the way that Ken runs it is so different from everybody else's. Event that I've spoken to events. I just came back on a 2-month world tour with my partners over here to Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, Thailand. We went to China, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Indonesia. So all these different places. None of them really matched up to the cultural and the networking environment because Ken always really pushes on, get to know each other, get to network. We have these lunches. There are very few events out there where you can even get the opportunity to network like this. So definitely take advantage of all the things this weekend because Ken has really put together a really spectacular event for you guys. So if it's okay, we do have probably another hour or so of me just kind of blabbing along. Is it okay if, for those of you who don't know me, for me to tell you a little bit about myself? Yeah? Okay. Who said no? Get out. Leave. Yeah. Well, Frank, we go way back. I met you in Philadelphia, actually, back at that first JV alert all those years ago. So, for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Simon Leung, and we, as a team company, I have my partners over here in the back. I'm going to introduce them to you in just a second. But along with David, we actually started working at Google back in March, April of 2002. And basically what my whole thing behind that was, how I landed my job in Google was probably being in the right place at the right time. It was pure luck. I was really still attending college university at the time. I was going through classes, studying graphic design and learning advertising. But what really happened was, for about 2 years, while I was still taking university classes, I started taking on a lot of part-time jobs at .com companies. There was jobdirect.com, there was collegeclub.com. There were like all these different campus marketing representative positions, because at the time, .com companies, it was around that time, it blew up, right? It just became really big, really popular, overnight successes all around. So they started hiring a lot of different people to take on college university jobs. And that was basically what I did. I worked for Red Bull and AMP energy drinks. I mean, you name it. There's just a lot of different really cool and hip products that college individuals and students like to consume or be a part of, and I was the marketing representative of all of them. What happened around early 2002? Kaboom, right? Everything just exploded, and I was a really big part of it, and to make explosion? Yeah, it exploded. So basically, to put a long story short, all my income that I was attending college university at the time, and so all these different income was very substantial to me. It probably wasn't more than a few $1,000s a month, but it was all taken away with a phone call. It basically said, "Hey, we're out of business. Good luck." So it was probably one of the times in my life when I say, "Okay, so what am I going to do?" I mean, I'm still in college university. I was really relying on all these different income, and my college professors actually encouraged me to go ahead and start applying for different positions. They're like, "Hey, you know what? I know you are graduating soon. I know a lot of your friends, along with you, are planning different trips all around the world," because that's what students do. Right after they graduate, they blow up their credit cards and start touring the world for the next year, and then later on find a job. But hey, you know what? This is a really bad time, not only for you, for me as well, for the entire American economy. So I encourage you to start applying for jobs right now. So I took the advice. I started applying for all these different positions. I went to Craigslist, Monster.com, all the top job sites. And I was very lucky because I ran across an ad that was advertising for a position in then a very small and little-known company called Google. You guys heard of it? Google? Well, at the time, almost nobody did, right? And it was really probably more of a coincidence, because one of my college professors, he was in one of my advertising classes. He happened to be also a teacher at Stanford University. And he was the professor of Larry and Sergey, the two individuals who founded and created Google. So he was like, "Yeah, you know what? I heard of Google. It's a really neat little search engine that all the Stanford students are really using right now." So I said, "Hey, cool. I applied for it. I got the call, lucky enough, from the HR representative saying, "We have a job opening for you in a very new department. It's called Google AdWords. It's the advertising department, but we don't know about the future of the company. We don't know about the future of this department. It's brand new. We've started probably only a few weeks ago. So what I want to do is to hire you on as a temporary representative. Is that okay with you?" And I said, "Oh, well, okay. Well, how much are you going to pay me? What are some of the benefits?" Well, it's like, 16, 17 bucks an hour, at which time in college, great. I was lucky to get an $8 an hour job at the time. So 16, 70 bucks an hour. Oh, by the way, we also serve 3 free meals a day. Sign me up. It took me less than a month to gain 20 pounds. It was really incredible. Well, because I was in college, right? So it was like 10 cents ramen noodles every day, or it was also around the time they had the 29 cents hamburgers at McDonald's. You guys remember that? I don't know if you do. It was also soy sauce and rice. That was basically my meal every single week. And so when they said 3 free meals, you bet, I took advantage of that. Leung and if all the snacks you can eat, by the way, and David can attest to this. And so I said, sign me up. And basically, when I went there, my job was to start reviewing ads. It was start to, get approval through all the different reviews and make sure that all the ads that are coming in are approved and under the criteria of the Google policies. And so I said, okay, no problem. I spent probably 12 to 15 hours a day because I really wanted to work hard, and plus I was getting paid by the hour, and so I wanted to make sure that I maxed out on that clock. But at the same time, it was also an experience that really got me to learn a lot more about the product itself. And so probably one of the best examples of an overnight success story I have ever seen, much less been a part of. I went home one day with about 100 ads that I had left to review. I came in the next day with over 100,000 ads. Oh, wow. That's a huge jump, right? That was the day that they signed the AOL deal. So it was their very first merger, their very first partnership. Next day, it exploded. Everything was like, okay, Simon, we have a full-time job for you. Because there was work now. So it was a really amazing experience. I watched it grow from a little baby. When my very first day as a temp, there were less than 250 people who were employees inside Google. And I think, David, you're employee like number 300 or something. And now there's like over 30,000 worldwide. So incredible, right? The growth and just to be a part of that. And so over the 4.5 years that I was working at Google, I really had the opportunity to learn a lot about the product itself. And I also really, because of the way that the company was structured, it was so new. There was really no structure in place. Nothing was there. I was basically helping them review ads. I would help them answer emails. I even picked up the phone and called up customers and helped client service before there was even a phone team. I started supporting people in Chinese, even though I can't speak Chinese to save my life, and Annie knows this. We go to China all the time. She's like, just speak English, dude. He's like, you're so bad. So, and I supported them despite really not having the language skills. And so it was a really great experience for me to learn and also become a really big part of the growing structure. Because almost 1 year to the day that I got hired as a temp, we as a company at Google decided that, we have all these different customers, hundreds of thousands of them to be exact, who are paying us a lot of money. Every single day, just cents after cents, dollar after dollar, are coming in from each individual advertiser. There's now, if you take a look at the numbers, $10 million a day revenue coming into Google. There was no surefire way of anybody inside Google to guarantee that they can get a return on investment. How can we make sure that for every dollar somebody is giving us, they can get $2 back, $5 back, or even that $1 back? How can we make sure that they're even breaking even? There was really no surefire way of guaranteeing that. So me and one other guy, we started what is now inside Google AdWords, it's called the Google AdWords optimization team. And what I was personally responsible for was actually creating the training, developing the materials, and finding out the exact strategies that people are not only working today, but also being used to train the team internally inside Google. So anybody now in Australia or in Singapore or in India, anybody on the optimization team who might be going through training, who might be learning how to optimize and manage all these multi-million-dollar accounts, they're going through my training that I developed back in 2003. So it was a really big opportunity for me because I really went deep into the core of the system. We had to find out, okay, what is the right research process? What is the right keyword tool that we need to develop? How do we write ads that convert? How do we make sure that, within 95 characters of space, 25 on the first line, 35 on the second, and on the third lines, how do we make sure that we can get the advertiser to make money? How do we make sure that the user can convert? They're going to end up buying. So there's all these psychological elements, and because it's such a big challenge, because in marketing, if you're an internet marketer, if you've seen all the sales letters, there's a reason why they're 15 pages long, they're 20 pages long, because you need all that information to be able to psychologically convert a visitor into a buyer. Well, in 95 characters of space, how can you do that? Okay, so we figured out the psychological elements behind all of that as well, and then how to build the right landing pages, how to build the right account structure, the bidding strategies. It was just a really big one after another and creating an entire system out of it. So it was a really big thing for me to be able to put that together and to help train the team. And over the 4.5 years that I was actually there, I helped maintain also the quality score. How many of you have heard of the quality score, the Google slap, as internet marketers like to call it? Well, a really big part of that had to do with the landing page optimization, the quality score of your entire site, as well in combination of your click-through rates, of how your ads are optimized, how your keywords are optimized. And I've told this to a lot of different internet marketers, and many of whom have been affected by it, and they wanted to strangle me, right? Because more or less, I was responsible, a big part, for getting that to happen. But at the same time, if you need to understand exactly why it happened, why did Google decide that this was necessary? Why did the advertisers get penalized? Why did the ones who did it right reap the rewards from it? It's because Google knew that at the end of the day, we wanted the users to benefit from it. We wanted the users to find value in all the different core of the advertising. We wanted the users to find value in the ads that you write, the products that you sell. We don't want people to click on an ad only to find more ads. We don't want people to click on an ad and be scammed. There are so many of these different elements out there. There's so many different ads out there where you type in iPod, and then an ad says free iPod. You go, oh hey, great, free iPod. I click on it. Well, it takes you through a series of maybe 10, 20 different survey questions that ask you to sign up for a free credit card, sign up for a free trial of AOL, sign up for Netflix, all these different applications. At the end of the 20 survey questions, all the 20 different call to actions, they put you into a drawing, for a free iPod. We'll contact you one day. Good luck, So that obviously is a scam. That is something that is like 30 minutes of somebody's life they're never going to get back. To a user, that's complete crap. It's BS. It wasn't something that they even wanted to search for in the first place. It wasn't relevant. They weren't searching for a free iPod. They were looking to legitimately buy a real iPod and got kind of sidetracked and misled through this. And then there were a lot of, obviously, the made for AdSense sites that happened. And all of these different ads that appeared on the sites after somebody clicks on an ad, that doesn't answer anybody's questions. Over 200 million people every single day search on Google.com so that they can either find an answer to a question or a solution to a problem. When they click on an ad to find more ads and, for lack of a better term, crap content, that is not bringing them any value. That's not giving them any benefit, any value at all. Why should they even go back to Google and start clicking on more ads? Google eventually noticed and identified this as a real problem. It was something that they had to address. For a long time, they said, okay, quality score, it's an issue. It's something that we have always been really mindful of. You always have to keep your quality ever since the beginning, okay? So, the only thing, however, that we can track are your keywords and your ads. Maybe your account structure and your bid. Everything else on your landing pages, we don't want to worry about how well it's converting. We don't worry about how you're getting traffic organically. AdWords is a completely different program. But when people are actually taking advantage of the system in a way that, what's up, Glenn? In the way that they're taken advantage of, well, obviously Google are saying something has to change. We can't have people shy away from the actual Google system if people aren't even using it anymore. So they said, hey, you know what? I think it's really important for us now to put that system into place. And unfortunately, yes, a lot of internet marketers got affected by it. That's why they call it the Google slap, because they consider it a slap in the face. And if you did it wrong, if you don't know how it's done, then yes, nonetheless, it is a slap in the face. It's a slap in the face also to Google. It's a slap in the face to the users, because we want everything done right. So for the past 3 years now, I guess it's been over 3 years. It's pretty incredible. 3 years, I've been traveling the world and really teaching people who are interested, individuals just like yourself who really want to be in a room and learn exactly what Google wants, the opportunity for me to really step from behind the curtains and step outside so that you can actually understand it and know from Google's eyes, be like an actual fly in the wall, on any of the Google conferences and really have the opportunity to understand exactly what Google wants. And really, it's very easy. And I already alluded to this. Google is always looking for users and users' best interest. And so after I had left Google, I decided to leave Google ultimately, not just because I was really frustrated, I would say, with the way that things are going internally at Google, because when I was at Google, I knew the answer to all the questions, and Dave was basically, we were partners in there. He was the customer service representative. I was doing the optimization. I created a lot of the strategies. And so when a customer called Dave and said, hey, how do I get my ad running? How do I make sure that I get more traffic for this keyword? How do I do X, Y, Z? We know the answer. We created the system, right? We know exactly what you need to do, but Google says, don't give them the answer. Make them figure it out. It's either black and white. Give them that little gray area. Is it X, Y, or Z? I don't know. It's like X.2. It makes absolutely no sense, because at the end of the day, of course, we want to help the clients, because the more we help them, the more money they give the company back, right? The more money they're going to end up spending. Well, it just really wasn't really cut off. So I was really frustrated. And so another big reason is because obviously there's much more opportunity. At the end of the day, I was working at JOB. What does JOB stand for? Just over broke, right? As big a company Google was, they were very stingy in terms of their salary. I started working, remember, $16-$70 an hour? Come on, for a college student, yeah, I'm rich. But for somebody who is growing up and you need to start buying your own house, you need to start making a living in Bay Area prices, it just wasn't enough. So I felt like it was a bigger opportunity, so I decided to step outside, find more opportunity for myself, and at the same time finding more opportunity for others, because as I learned from traveling, at one point I was literally going from city to city every single weekend, speaking at a different seminar for like 2 years straight. Every single weekend I was at a different seminar. And now I'm out of the country, 2 months at a time. I came back September 1st. And before October is coming, I need to leave again. And at the time, I was leaving not just city to city anymore within the U.S., but country to country, literally. From Malaysia to Singapore to New Zealand to Australia to Thailand to Hong Kong to China every single weekend. So that was the lifestyle that I kind of built for myself. And really, I would say an even bigger part was learning and actually doing it, because you can attend all the seminars you want. As a matter of fact, I started by attending a seminar just like this. I came to JV Alert, Philadelphia. I got inspired. Great. Everybody gets inspired at JV Alert because there's so many inspirational people there. There's so much great content, so many different speakers. Not even speakers, but experts. Just look around you. We have Peter Parks, Martin Sanders, Ken McArthur, Frank Souza, all these great people that you can totally just extract information from, but also build friendships with. And networking is really huge. And so I really feel like, learning from all these different people has really made me a really big part of where I am, but it's also the content, the information. Take notes, but what's even more important is when you go home and you take action, because that is going to be the turning point. Whatever it is that you might want to do, you might want to be an underground internet marketing superstar like Peter Parks. You might want to run all these different ultra successful and highly valuable content-packed live events and seminars like Ken. But focus what you want to do and do it. Create software like Frank. And just really learn all this really great information and actually start applying them. And so when I started learning this, I started thinking, okay, there's all these different things I can do. I started working on my own projects, and I also discovered that there's only so much that I can do myself. There's only so much that I can really hit and target so many different people around the world if I'm just a one-man show. And so that was when, probably around 2007 September, so close to, that's like 2 years ago now, at an event in San Francisco, I actually was approached and met my partner now in San Francisco, right? It was at Mike Filsame's event. And I was speaking there, and he approached me with a really unique business opportunity. And now we actually have about 100 people working from our Nanjing office in China, building out campaigns for individuals. It's basically a full-service search engine marketing agency, and we're servicing primarily clients who are in China, but that is just booming because we're going back every quarter and hiring and training more people. So it's just a really big opportunity. And so right now, if it's okay, can I introduce you to Andy and also my partner Dave, so that you know exactly who I'm working with and why they're standing in the back of the room, stalking me like a hawk. Come on. So first I'm going to introduce Andy. And Andy's going to tell a story about how we met. He always likes to tell that story and really makes me sound like a complete jack donkey. But Andy, we call him the $40 million man because actually at the time that he was approaching me for all these different opportunities, he initially found me like on MySpace or something and applied to me at my apprentice and through a mentorship program, which is all great. But at the same time, he wasn't just a newbie. He wasn't just somebody who was starting out. He actually had a multi-million-dollar business of his own. And so I was talking to him, I was like, dude, why do you even want to work with me? You obviously have a really successful business. First time I meet him, he pulls out a check, it was like $5 million. I was like, is this for me? He goes, no, but it's just to show you that I'm really serious about working with you. So he actually walked away from that multi-million-dollar business to start working with me and starting a new venture called AIM Venture that we started in China. And now we're actually growing it all around the world as well. So a little bit about Andy. Take it away.
Thanks. I kind of wanted to kind of just reiterate what Simon has said. One of the things that he said earlier is to really find the people that can help you when you go to these events. And that's exactly what I did.
Just hold on to it.
Okay. So this is the story of me and Simon. I actually...
put that on a Hallmark card. Story.
Well, we actually met online in 2006, and then I invested in different types of business, and then, primarily I was into consumer electronic manufacturing and marketing. I was doing outsourcing. I was doing outsourcing projects, sourcing products for Best Buy, Staples, Office Depot, these type of national retailers. But I'm also invested in the stock market. So I noticed that on Google's financial report, every single quarter, these companies growing double digit, and it makes me wonder how a company like Google, there's no company in the history of the U.S. can ever grow like this in a short matter of time. So it got me really interested to find out exactly why Google is doing it. So from more research, I discovered Google has nothing except AdWords that's generating money for them, and I was blown away that AdWords could actually bring in millions and millions of dollars for this company, and everything else was just a gimmick. So I started to do research, and I want to find the right person that can answer the question for me: how can Google make so much money with this little thing called AdWords? And I was able to find Simon because at that time he had a MySpace page that says I was the master of Google AdWords optimizer, and then so I looked at his profile. I'm like, hey.
I still am, by the way.
Yeah, at that time, I'm like, hey, there's another guy that's around my age, and then he's the Google AdWords master optimizer. So
he's also Asian.
And he's also Asian. Another internet marketer that's not from Singapore.
That was the major reason.
Yeah, that was the major reason because we felt connected the first time I saw his page. I said I could probably speak to him. He will probably respond to my inquiries. So no. So I attempted to contact him through MySpace, and then there was no response. So I opted into his list. I thought that he was going to reply to me, so I sent him to the email that I opted in for, and then I got more automated messages. So I probably got like 50 different automated stuff that he was promoting it to me, and then so finally I found that he was doing an event in San Francisco. So I decided that I was going to fly there and actually meet him. So that's what I did.
Stalker 101.
Yeah. So when I got there, I couldn't find him, and then I actually met Tom Beal. And then I talked to Tom Beal and said, hey, I'm actually here to look for a person called Simon Leung. Is he going to be here? Is he here yet? I want to talk to him. And then Tom Beal actually told him that there was a psycho that wants to see him before he spoke. So he was really cautious. But after he presented, before he even left the stage, I walked right by the stage, and I wanted to catch him to be the first person to talk to him. And then so when he finished his presentation, he walked out. I rushed right in front of him, trying to say, "Hey, Simon, I have this great thing I want to talk to you about." And he just kind of looked at me very strangely and very scared. And I wanted to pitch to him, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking like nobody wants to be pitched, especially speakers. I mean, he's gonna think, "Who the hell are you?" And then what do you want? So I decided that I'm gonna pull a few copies of the product launches that I did with Staples and Best Buy, and I'm gonna show him that these are the product launches that I do. Then I think we'll be able to do some big stuff together. So then I showed him the check, and then he was like, "Okay, wow, that's pretty interesting. Let's talk more." But then he was surrounded with a lot of different other individuals that wants to speak to him. So during every break, I try to just kind of sneak up towards the back of the crowd, and then I slowly see Simon just kind of move away. So I kind of follow him around all throughout the event, and then I actually he had a Googleplex tour for the speakers, and then I invited myself to hop on one of the cars, and then got to Googleplex, and then actually toured with the rest of the team, and that was at the time where we actually sat down and started talking, because I've been such a pest for 3 days trying to engage in him, and then he finally said, "Okay, what do you really have to say? Like, what do you want to tell me?" So then from there on, I told Simon, like, these are some of my experience, these are some of the stuff that I think I can contribute, and then I wanted to work with you to kind of leverage each other's expertise to grow a team. So we started to do different workshops, and then at that time I had a lot of e-commerce clients I supply products to, and I know they spend a ton of money doing Google AdWords. So I told Simon, "Hey, how about this business idea? I have all these different warm leads that I currently supply products to that does AdWords. Let me go get these accounts, let's start a company that manage Google AdWords account." And then he said, "Sure, go do it." So that's exactly what we did. And then one of my client actually has a facility in China as well that runs about 6 e-commerce websites here in the States that does physical product sales. So he initially helped us set up the infrastructure at his locations, and now still we leverage his infrastructure there as well to kind of grow our facilities. But then that's how everything got started, is that I recognized there was a big opportunity with Google AdWords, and then I took actions, and I did whatever it takes to get to him. Because at the first maybe 10 or 20 tries, I mean, he completely just was afraid of me. I had to stalk him. But then after that, we kind of built a very solid friendship around it. Been traveling around the world, just helping different clients, taking what Simon knows in his head and be able to help different business owners, different e-commerce websites, and different entrepreneurs to leverage what Google has built, a massive, incredible traffic machines to help drive targeted traffic to monetize whatever business model they have built. It's a pretty amazing experience. So that's my story, and I hope I didn't bore you guys with that.
And just another point. I mean, Andy started out when I started when he approached me for the first time. He didn't really know a whole lot about internet marketing, and it was through going to events and really investing as well, and getting to know people, and really learning the skills to extract information. He's gotten a little bit more subtle in terms of his approach. But you need to understand also that when you're approaching people and when you're building friendships, that's exactly where you want to start off as. You're going to start building the relationships on a personal relationship basis. And then through that, now Andy is speaking all around the world as well, from a complete newbie who is approaching people the wrong way, now to people who are approaching him now. In Singapore, he's speaking also in Australia, and a lot of other places where we're having events, and as well as our team in China. So really a lot of opportunity if you know how to milk it right. So this guy to my right here, you might have seen him. Have you seen him? Some people, some of you have. Yeah, he traveled with me for 2 months around the world. Just came back recently. We went to Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, all the other places, New Zealand, Australia together. And this guy, not too many people know, but he is instrumental in helping me to even get my job at Google. We used to work together at Google, and he started March of 2002. I started around the same time, but he was hired on as a full-time part-time person, and I was hired on as a temp. And so when I was helping out, all the different full-time staff, the really cool kids who got a full-time paycheck and not getting paid by the hour like I was. Well, this guy was probably one of the more, I would say, up there in terms of authority, because every time we review an ad, it would say, "Do not disapprove without first contacting Danucci." So we were all scared of this guy. But it was at the ALL party that I was talking about where we actually met for the first time and really started talking, and we became really great friends since then. And I'll let Dave tell you a little bit about himself now.
All right. Thank you so much. As Simon pointed out, I actually did help him get his permanent job. I started in March 2002 on what was a 6-person team for AdWords. There was about 300 people at the company, and there was this tremendous team of temps that were doing all of the ad reviews. And not only was Simon already a standout on his own, but he had gone out of his way to help me with a particular client. And the reason my name was on all of these accounts is early on, there was no infrastructure in place. There was no where to put notes on the account or to flag things, so I had to do it manually. And in fact, originally I would go into where they sat in the conference room and write on the whiteboard the IDs of the particular accounts that I was handling. Because early on there wasn't any stratified support structure set up. But I was lucky enough to be there early on and help set service levels, write the first canned replies. I took the very first phone calls for AdWords, made the very first phone calls for AdWords, and that eventually evolved into what we called the Tier 1 service team. And of course, Simon and I being friends, and my having written a letter of recommendation for him, of course, we were partners from then on. And we used to travel around just throughout the states to visit our clients and do meetings. It's really fun to get to travel worldwide now. It's been an interesting run. So after this Tier 1 team had sort of gelled, they began stratifying things by industry level. And I know Simon will probably talk a little bit more about this later, but when I didn't get entertainment or automotive, which were the 2 industries I was interested in, I think I got consumer packaged goods and finance. I said, what we really need is a team that focuses on advertising agencies, because I had several agency clients that I worked with. And the great thing about them was their level of understanding and knowledge was quite a bit higher. Plus, they might have had 100 end clients, but my points of contact were restricted to these savvy individuals that were working for the advertising agencies. So Simon was very instrumental in helping us build out that team. And that's where I was when I left. I actually left Google in January of this year. And after some back and forth and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I formally partnered with Andy and Simon, I think in May, right before we ended up leaving on our trip. So we're really excited to be here. Thanks for taking the time to break up your lunch and listen to what we have to say. And we'll be around if there's any questions or anything we can do to help. Just say the word.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dave and Andy. So the reason why I wanted to introduce you to Dave and Andy is now the agency team that Dave has been talking about, that Dave mentioned. Dave and I were actually the 2 individuals who, inside Google, created the internal agency team. So now there's an internal team that basically manages the multi-million-dollar accounts, the eBays, the Amazons of the world, and those are the team. That's the team that was initially trained and created by Dave and myself. And so while we were at Google, I really used that opportunity to learn a lot of stuff, because the system is basically that. Everything can be systemized. So when I left Google, it was very easy for Andy and I to go out, overseas and start creating something else that is almost an exact replica of what we created inside Google. We had to hire people, we had to train them. We had to manage a team of individuals who can really use the strategies that we teach them, make sure that they can do stuff and follow instructions, and just go out there and start implementing and applying ideas. So we started testing a team, and it was really funny because of the language barrier, right? We knew that the system I created was in English, and so I trained them even in English. And Andy was like, okay, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that we're gonna hire people who are out of university, they're college graduates. So they're not just anybody that you can hire for like $1 an hour. Or you're not running a sweatshop up there or anything. These people are well educated. They understand English to a certain extent. Their writing might not be the best, but they can still communicate. And when I speak to them in English, they can still understand. So when I went out there and I started training them, it was really incredible to me how easily they were able to pick it up. And what we realized is that once you know the system, it doesn't matter what language you're speaking. It doesn't even matter if the course was taught in English. If you know what the system is, all you have to do is really follow the steps, basic steps, fundamentals, step by step, and learn exactly how the system works. So all these different students who ended up writing, our employees who ended up writing horrific ads. They just like grammatically wrong, and it was just like spelling errors, and the keywords weren't necessarily the best. But still, within the first month that we trained them on just affiliate marketing products, they were able to make over $40,000 in commissions, just from the system itself. So we knew that it wasn't the language. If you can be speaking Indian, you can speak Vietnamese, you can speak Japanese, you can speak Spanish, French, whatever. It doesn't really matter if you know what the system is. If you can do it right, if you can follow instructions, then you have the right system in place. And so we got the strategies down, that everything that I created from the optimization team, forwarded along to them. Then everything that Dave and myself created for the agency team, implemented the training for that as well. And now we're managing clients all over China and various parts of the world as well. And we got clients who are spending how much? Like $1 million a month? What's the number for that? For the past few months, we had, I don't even, Andy's the numbers guy. So he's keeping track of all this stuff. But we had the last screenshots that I had for one of my presentation, it was somewhere around 2 to 3 million in ad spend, and it was from this year alone. And that was just from one of our accounts. So these are multi-million-dollar spending clients who just need somebody to manage it for them. So what we realized is for all the strategies that we're teaching, yes, it's great for us to implement them, and it's great for us to learn it so that we can sit at home and be an internet marketing machine and work in our underwear and spend time with our family and friends. Great, It's all really interesting and the lifestyle that we all want, but at the end of the day, what do you really want? Do you want to stop and be comfortable at 5 figures a month? Are you comfortable at a 6-figure a year business, or do you want to grow it to a 7-figure, an 8-figure business? And so that was a decision that Andy and I decided that we had to make. And so we decided to grow not only the staff team, but also the partnership team and the executive team. So now we got more people on that as well. But what we're really understanding is if you understand and know the exact formula of, there's like so many different formulas. There's so many different systems. But if you just implement one of them, then it's almost like you don't really need to know any of the other ones, because if something works, why try to reinvent the wheel? Why reinvent something or try to figure out something else that works? The worst mistake they can possibly make is to figure out something that works and then stop doing it, right? We've all heard that. So what we really want to do is to make sure that once you finally understand that system, it really is, you owe it to yourself and your family, whoever it is that you're supporting, who's supporting you. Who is backing you up to go ahead and start working on that. So how much time do we have left, Ken?
We have to actually be back in 20 minutes in the other room.
Okay.
And he's got how long to
15.
15 minutes? Okay, so maybe real quick I can go through perhaps one of the systems that we use for our business. You guys be interested in hearing that?
Yes.
Okay. So it's basically very easy. I think, I don't know what Peter talked about yesterday in terms of the Web 2.0 stuff and social marketing, but when you're actually going to google.com and you're searching for something, well, what you don't know and what many people don't realize is that you can also use that exact system on Google to let Google tell you exactly what it is that you need to do for your business in order to get traction. Example, okay, let's say you're in the personal development niche. Okay, you found a personal development product and you want to see, okay, what strategy should I use to implement this? What strategy should I use to market this? Should I use AdWords? Should I use videos? Should I use Web 2.0? Should I use Facebook, MySpace? What should I use? If you type in personal development in Google, you click on search, look at the search results. Because Google is telling you exactly what they're seeing as high authority. Back a year, 2 years ago, almost anything you type in, if you type in happy monkey, if you type in a celebrity's name, probably the one page that shows up, the one website that shows up out of almost all the keywords that you can think of is Wikipedia, right? Even today, if let's say a celebrity passes away and you find out about it on the news, online, somebody told you, you type in that celebrity's name, probably 99.999% of the time, Wikipedia would have already updated that person's name and saying that person died today, passed away today. And it can be, it's usually on the very first page of Google. If it's like several days ago, was it Patrick Swayze? I typed in Patrick Swayze, his search result was like number 1 or number 2, Wikipedia. And is it PatrickSwayze.com? Is it something that has been a high authority site with Patrick Swayze the entire time? No. It's because Google identified Wikipedia as a site that is always changing, always updating with new content. And so they always understand that whenever a user wants to find the most updated information that's valuable to them, that's beneficial to them, they need to go to Wikipedia because user-generated content is a really big space and a lot of people are contributing to the information on that page. And so that was 2 years ago, but fast forward to now, to present. A lot of these websites in terms of Web 2.0, the Facebooks, the blogs, the MySpace, the YouTube, they all have updated content via RSS feed, via people's personal accounts that they're constantly updating. So Google is always constantly identifying which one of these sites are high quality, which one of these sites are high authority. And when you go and you search for something like personal development and you see the type of sites that come up, you don't want to look for, say, TonyRobbins.com. That's not a Web 2.0 property. You don't want to find anything that might even be Amazon, like personal development books or products. You might not even want to find that. What you want to do is you want to see if there's anything on Google News. Is there anything on YouTube? Is there anything on, say, Blogger or WordPress? Because those are the social media, social marketing properties that Google identifies as high authority at all times. These are the top sites that are always going to show up. Now, depending on what niche you're in, that is going to determine which one of these properties are going to be on the first few pages of Google. So if you type in personal development and you see a video on YouTube, Google is telling you you need to start creating more videos and putting them on YouTube and using other video online sharing sites and sharing your videos, and that is how you're going to get your word out. So once you've identified that as a strategy, you need to learn how to do effective video marketing. How should you optimize the video so that you're always going to be shown, within the first few pages of Google? All these different strategies. Another thing is if you take a look, and a lot of times you're going to see, especially for local listings, especially if you're saying, pizza in San Diego or whatever along those lines, you're going to see that Google Maps and Google Local has a really big part in what has to do with local listings and local businesses. And we did a test actually all the way in Australia. And this is a brand new market, obviously. People don't even know. This is really funny. On the news the other day, while I was in Sydney, I was watching what they call the morning show. They actually had an entire segment saying how Twitter is pointless. They're saying, yeah, you know what? If you're going to be a Lance Armstrong fan, yeah, sure, it makes sense. Go ahead and follow Lance Armstrong. Why wouldn't you want to know what he's up to? But on a marketing standpoint, on a business standpoint, it's probably one of the most useless websites on the web. So they really don't grasp and understand that market. So we went out there and we actually created a listing, a local listing for one of the local products for one of my partners, and they got first page listing on Google within 5 minutes as a result of using Google Maps, Google Local, Google Listings. So understand these Google properties, understand what Google identifies to be high authority, and implement that into your strategy. If you see that Google News is what's coming up high for the keyword terms that you're trying to optimize for, then submit a press release, get picked up by Google News. If you're going to see that there's images that come up, well, then that means you need to put more images on your site and let those get picked up by Google. If you're gonna be, if you see videos, then do more videos. If you see more listings for Google News or forums or blogs, or social media, Web 2.0, MySpace, Facebook, create profiles for that. And the really big thing now is more than ever, even though Australia doesn't think so, but Twitter, if you're not on Twitter, shame on you. But Twitter is really the biggest source out there, not only for branding now, but also for traffic. In fact, Twitter recently outtook Google as my #1 source of traffic. And I get a lot of traffic from Google. I mean, if I had an actual presentation, you can see screenshots. I'm getting random traffic to my blog from Google, from people searching for smart, from author, from Singapore, random terms that you can't even optimize for, even if you wanted to. So I'm just getting a lot of traffic, relevant or not. A lot of them are irrelevant traffic, but still, I'm getting a lot of traffic. And Twitter has actually outtook that. It's got even more traffic coming to its site. And the great thing about Twitter is they're more targeted because you're now building an entire brand around it. People are following you or talking to you because they want to know you. They want to connect with you. So it's a really great way for you to not only create your brand and to connect with people, but also use it as a traffic generation source. And so once you figured out what strategy you need to do, that's when you kind of go over and reevaluate and review the different things on your landing pages. When you're looking at your landing pages, you need to understand exactly what Google wants. Now, a really big part of where people mess up is they're just not giving Google what they want. Google wants you to be able to bring value to the customers. They want you to have an actual site where if you're going to have people sign up or opt in or buy something, have that call to action there, make sure that the value is there, make sure that you have enough and substantial content for people to buy from. Sometimes it's as easy as that. And for many times, Google also undermines the sales letter format. So if you're using Google AdWords, say for example, you want to make sure that you're not sending them to a sales letter page. You can use an opt-in form, or you can use another page that later on redirects them to a sales letter. But if you want to maximize your quality score, you want to send them to a page that is not an actual sales letter, the internet marketing style. And so since we're kind of running low on time now, I want to make sure that you guys also understand that there's just so much more out there in terms of what we can do. And if you're interested, Andy and I actually have a company who are out there in China, and if at any time, this is actually going to be my very last speaking engagement, if you even call this a speaking engagement, but my very last presentation in the States before the year is over. I'm leaving for Singapore next week. I'm going to be out there for like 2 months. We got events all over Australia and Singapore, Malaysia, China as well. So what we really want to do is to make sure that before we leave, because we're such good friends with Ken, because we want to make sure that we bring as much value to you as possible, that if you're interested in recruiting the services that we have, we're basically charging a lot of our clients $3,000 to $5,000 just to manage the AdWords campaigns. And these are the strategies that we use to train Google internally. So it's the right way to set up your campaign. It's the right way to do your keyword research, the right way to basically put your name out there and to drive that relevant traffic. Even on my website, that I no longer check anymore, but I have AdWordsOptimization.com. There's an application form out there where people can apply to pay me $1,500 to create a campaign for them. Well, I don't even answer those emails anymore. I don't even read those applications anymore. We don't even have a system that even recruits. I don't even know where it goes after they click on the submit button. But if you guys are interested in learning more about what we have to offer, we're actually going to offer just for the people in this room only. At JV Alert Live, because of the relationship that I have with Ken. We want to, if you're interested, talk to us a little bit more. Andy, Dave, and myself are going to be here for the rest of the day to talk to you guys. And we're willing to help create an actual campaign for you the right way and do the right research, make sure that you have the right reporting, all the testing elements in place, even give you consultation on how you can even maximize the quality of your landing page. And we're going to do it for $500. Okay, so this is the lowest we've ever offered it ever. This is probably the last time we're ever going to offer like this, and that's because we want to upkeep the relationship that we have here. So on my website, even that I'm not even accepting applications for, is $1,500. So if you're interested in talking to us, we'll be here for the rest of the day, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the weekend. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you.